Hello everyone, we are on week 14 of our CSA shares. It is, I think, a B week. So if you are a half share and you pick up on B weeks, this is your week. We have just one quick announcement. The farm has spaghetti sauce and ketchup that were processed using their ingredients right from the farm. So these each are $7 and available right at the farm for you to purchase. So if you want them, just at pickup, ask, and you can get a jar of either of those or more. That's the only announcement for today. We are gonna jump right into what's in our shares this week, a lot of repeat items, and how to store each item and what we can use them for. So let's start with our tomatoes. So we still have a lot of tomatoes. We received 3 pounds of our red beefsteak. We received a quart of plums, and we were able to pick a quart of tomatoes. So all of our tomatoes get stored on the countertop, not in the refrigerator unless you cut them open. So like one of the beefsteaks, if you cut them open, then store it in the fridge. Since we've been getting a lot of them, they can be used on salads, they can be used on sandwiches. We can roast them, we can cube them and freeze them. Since we've been receiving them for a lot of weeks, if you know you're not going to use them within the next week, I would highly recommend preserving them. So either roast them and freeze them, or freeze them just raw. You can freeze them, wash them and freeze them exactly how they are. My mom just told me that's what she does with a lot of her tomatoes. She doesn't even cook them. She just washes them, chops them up, cubes them, throws them in a Ziploc bag, freezes them, and then pulls them out for like soups and chilies, and in addition adds fresh tomatoes to her sauces and stuff like that. So there's lots and lots of options on what to do with your tomatoes. There's a sauce recipe on the blog. There's lots of salsa recipes that have been shared. There's a lot of tart recipes. You can throw them in a quiche. This week's recipe will use some of our cherry tomatoes. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. So that's all of our tomatoes. Another pick your own that reappeared is our shishitos. Our shishito peppers, 1 in 10 of them are hot, so just beware of that. They can be mildly hot, mildly spicy. The last time we had these, we did have some that were a little bit spicier. These get stored in a plastic bag in the fridge, unwashed. Wash them, and you can leave them whole just like this when you go to use them. So you can roast them, you can saute them, you can blister them. That's my favorite way to use them. High heat and a little bit of oil. Get them nice and blistered and then serve them like that. They can be served with a dish, as a side, as an appetizer. They are delicious. You can certainly grill them too. So lots of options there. If you know you're not going to use these this week, then you can freeze them. They will last a little bit longer, but you can freeze them whole like this, or you can chop them up and freeze them that way. So those are our shishitos. We also were able to pick 2 quarts of edamame. So these get stored in the fridge in a plastic bag. We want to eat the inside beans, not the pod. So those inside beans. The best way to use them is to steam them. Do a quick steam or do a quick boil. Get them nice and easy to push out. So all you're going to do is kind of push them, and if they're cooked, the beans will pop right out. So you can serve them just as an appetizer that way, just season them. I just season them with sea salt, but someone in the group also used like an everything but the bagel seasoning one time. You can season them with a little onion powder, garlic powder, maybe cayenne if you want a little bit of spice. So lots of different ways to use them, but they can be used as an appetizer, or you can push the beans out after steaming them and use them in like a salad, on top of a salad, or in different dishes, add it to rice. things like that. So these get stored in the fridge until you're ready to use them, and typically unwashed, just like everything else. Our salad greens, 1/2 pound of these, we want to store them right in the plastic bag. This is probably the first thing we want to use. So over the next few days, you want to use it. It can be used as a salad. We have lots of additional items that can be thrown on as a salad. You can put it on burgers. I've actually done a breakfast salad where I use the greens and just season them, or put like little olive oil and vinegar on them, and then toss an egg on top as well. So kind of think outside the box. Great for lunches if you're bringing lunches with you to work. The other item that we have a lot of this week is peppers. So we have our cubanelle peppers. These are like a sweeter pepper. We have our green bell peppers. We got 2 of those. And then we have the first edition of our sweet peppers. So we're either gonna see red or orange. All of these are stored in the fridge in the crisper drawer in a plastic bag. They can be eaten raw, all of them. So as a snack, as a side, on top of salad, or they can be roasted, sauteed. You can add them to grill packets, you can add them to sheet pan meals, stir fries. You can stuff any of them. So lots of ideas there. You can roast. The sweet peppers are delicious roasted. So my husband grills them, roasts them, blackens them, and then we put them in a bag to get the skins off, and then we season them with lots of garlic and olive oil and preserve them. So those are an option as well. The other pepper we were able to pick, so we had, you had to go off to the table, and there are hot peppers. We got to pick 3 hot peppers, jalapenos being one of them. There were poblanos, jalapenos, cherry bombs, serranos, and cayennes, I think. I think there were 5 different choices, so we could pick 3 options, and the signs all kind of explain their heat level, and you can pick from there. So hot peppers we're using to add a little bit of spice to dishes. We can pickle them. We can do like a hot pepper honey. That recipe is on the blog from last year. We can add them. We will use one of the hot peppers in this week's recipe. A lot of jalapeno poppers we're seeing, or stuffed poblanos. So those are always options as well. So that's it for the peppers. We also got to pick a watermelon and a cantaloupe. Both are delicious, both are super sweet. Basically, the best way to eat them is the way they are, but you can chop them up and serve them over salads. You can make different salsas with them. So I've seen different fruit salsas. They want to be stored in the fridge. So you want to store them in the fridge. Once they can just get stored like this. Once you open them up and cut them at all, and then if you need to put them back in the fridge, if you don't finish them, then cover them in saran wrap. And that way they'll stay good. So we also have sweet onions. Our sweet onions we've seen for a few weeks. There's a caramelized onion dip that would work really well, especially with all of the vegetables, if you want to do like a vegetable tray. That dip was, I think that was last week actually, the caramelized onion dip. That uses sweet onions. They're wonderful for an onion soup. They are great sauteed. They are great sliced nice and thin raw on a salad. These are cured, so we want to store them in a cool, dry place, not in the fridge. Away from potatoes. So the potatoes give off moisture and they will make these go bad, so keep them separate from potatoes. We have 6 ears of corn. This is our sweet corn. You can eat this raw, you can cook it, so you can steam it, you can boil it, you can grill it. You can soak it in water and put it right on the grill like that, or you can put it in foil. Or you can just husk it and then take off the corn kernels, freeze those corn kernels, and that's one way to preserve it. So we got 6 of those. These are stored in the fridge, ideally with the husk on. And then when you're ready to use them, peel them, husk them, clean them, if that's the way you're cooking them. Otherwise, they can be cooked with the husk on if you're like grilling them or cooking them over a fire. Okay, we have basil again. My basil's needs a little bit of help with the water because it was in the car, in the heat of the car for a little while on the trip home. Basil does not like the refrigerator, so it does not like the cold. So you want to store it in a glass jar with water on your counter. Basil is great paired with our tomatoes. It's great with, I love to shove a bunch of leaves in a homemade vinaigrette, pestos. So I have a lot of basil saved up that I'm gonna create a pesto with. You can freeze those pestos. So if you're not gonna use your basil over the next week or so, you may wanna think about ways to preserve it, and pestos are a great way to preserve our basil. Last 2 items, we got Kirby tomatoes, Kirby cucumbers. These are best stored in the crisper drawer of the fridge. Awesome raw. So these just sliced with a dip or sliced just as a side. I like to sprinkle a little sea salt on them. If I'm not using them with anything else, you can throw them in salads, so they'll pair really well with our salad greens. This week's recipe will showcase these guys, so stay tuned for that on Thursday. And last but not least is our potatoes. These are new potatoes, so we want to store them in the fridge. They're not cured yet. They are great sliced. Last week's recipe, I gave you a quick info on air frying them and turning them into potato chips. You can dice them up and roast them. You can add them to grill packets. You can saute them as like home fries. They would pair really well with the onions that we got this week. There's lots of items that would work well in grill packets. So the peppers, the potatoes, the onions, and you can do sheet pan meals with these as well. So you can either do a big sheet of roasted vegetables, or you can also add a protein to that. And those are just quick and easy and nice cleanup because it's one big sheet pan. I think that's it. Hopefully I remembered everything. A lot of these were repeat items. We saw cucumbers come back this week, and then our sweet peppers are new. Everything else we've seen before. So refer to the Facebook group for ideas. If you're struggling, please post. If you're having trouble using something up, please post and we will help and guide and give ideas to use those. Remember, first, we want to use all the items left from last week. Focus on that, unless it's an item that lasts for a while. And then focus on our more delicate items this week. So like our salad greens, use those first. Some of our tomatoes, since they're countertop, you want to use those. And some other items will last a little bit longer. Our sweet corn, you want to use within a few days ideally, because the sweetness changes more to starchiness over the week. So it's going to be best when it's freshly picked. So over the next few days, you're going to want to eat that. Our cantaloupe and our watermelon are best within the next few days as well, because their sweetness is going to be perfect right about now. All right, so post any questions that you have, and I will see you next week, which will be week 15.